Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join us live. If this is the first time we're meeting, so happy to be here with you. And my name is Meenakshi Iyer. I'm the founder and principal of Northstar Solutions and Services, which is a boutique future of work oriented coaching, training, and consulting practice. And we are all about unpacking leadership at the messy middle. And I'm delighted to be here today. First of all, happy December, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you're joining us from. Love for you to pop in the chat and let us know where you're joining us from, and what questions you have for me as you think about prepping for 2024. And that's the purpose of today's conversation. With 2024, a brand new year, less than about 3-4 weeks away, we still have a lot of opportunity to take action on things that we had planned for in 2023, and at the same time, taking the time to sort of pause, slow down a bit. And for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, the season, the weather, nature kind of calls for that as well, to slow down and really sort of reflect on the year that's been. The purpose today that I wanted to get together with you is to share with you some impactful tips and strategies that I believe will help you step into 2024 with clarity and confidence. And I also have a wonderful guest along with me today, and I'm going to bring her in a minute. That is Sameera Maruvada. And here we go. Let me bring her onto the stage.
Hello.
Hi, Sameera. Thank you so much for joining me today. And Sameera is joining us all the way from India. Sameera and I met recently via LinkedIn and through Tanvi. So, Tanvi, if you're watching, a huge shout out to you. That's how we connected. And Sameera is a visual storyteller. And she's the founder of Salt and Sambar Design Studio. And I'm going to invite Sameera to talk to us about what she does and the unique name of her business. And I know I have enjoyed hearing that story from you, Sameera. And the reason that we are here today together is to share a couple of different perspectives. So Sameera is here to tell us about the importance of visual storytelling, especially in the vision setting context, as we think about planning for the coming year. And I wanted to share a couple of my own strategies. So, with a little bit about me, I've spent my entire career in the world of technology adoption, and people development between India and in the US. And I've been in the US for the last 15 years. I'm physically located in Virginia. And for the last 4 odd years, in my role as the founder and principal of Northstar Solutions and Services, I serve as a personal agility, self and change leadership coach focused on mid-level technology professionals, women in tech, and folks like Sameera and I who speak English as an additional language. And over the last 3-4 years, every year I've run this workshop called 20 My Story. So whatever the year is, and my story, write it, own it, live it. And so this year it's 2024 My Story workshops. I'm so excited about collaborating with Sameera in this year's workshop. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the workshop, give you a bit of a preview on what to expect. And it's happening this Saturday, December 9th, from 9 to 1 Eastern time. We have been posting about it on LinkedIn. So if you haven't already signed up, so we have about 5 more spots left. So if you haven't already signed up, you can scan this QR code that you see in the bottom right, and that will take you straight to the registrations and payments page. So having said all that, I wanted to kick us off with Sameera. Actually, Sameera, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit more about what you do and why visual storytelling and its importance in the context of vision setting.
Hi, Meenakshi. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm more than excited for being a part of this workshop. And firstly, I just want to say that even before we met and even before I got to know like what you do, I have been big fan of vision setting and journaling, and I'm a bit of an organizer that way. Every year before the new year comes, I always have my vision board ready, and it's always in front of my bed, somewhere I can see, and it's
Hmm.
full of visuals that I myself create. So, as for me, I am a visual storyteller, a comic artist, and the founder of Salt and Sambar Design Studio. Um, well, if I need to talk about the importance of visuals, I feel like there is nothing which is a better example than my own story. So I just want to like share a little of my story and how visual actually helped me with my own process of finding what I really wanted to do in life and creating a clarity in my life. So at first, I studied engineering, and then I wanted to get into the creative field. I didn't know how. Then I was making YouTube videos on basically art tutorials, like fine art tutorials, because I was very passionate about art since my childhood. And then, although it got like a little, popularity globally and all that, I later pursued interior design in a different city, and then I came back. I started my own blog, and I knew that I had many things to say, but I just did not know uh, what was the best way for them for me to say them, so that I get a lot of clarity while communicating them, and also it reaches a lot of people. So I used to write these lengthy blogs on my blog. I don't I think it was called something like it was a WordPress blog. I don't even remember right now, but it never had any much readership, probably less than 100 for sure. Shortly after, I discovered visuals. I opened Instagram. I was seeing these new artists back in 2017, 2018, and I was like, hey, whatever I'm saying in 10 words, in 10 sentences, what if I could condense them into one visual or one or two panels of illustrations, and what if I shared them? And that was when my page Salt and Sambar started on Instagram. And I just wanted to say that whatever I wanted to say, like till date, I still think that I am more of a writer, because I first think and then I put it on paper and then I draw. I feel like first is thinking process, whatever happens. Um, when I put it on paper is when I get more clarity. When I put it on paper visually is when I myself get more clarity on what
Hmm.
I want to do or what I am thinking. And also when I put it on paper and when I mix it with text, that is when I felt that it reached a lot of people. And it was,
Hmm.
yeah, and it was very much evident like after shortly a few months of starting Salt and Sambar, after all of my different endeavors, which didn't really reach much people,
Hmm.
um, my comics started getting a lot of views and responses, and my page blew up when one of my comics reached a million, actually more than a million people globally,
Hmm.
and there was no turning back. So that was when I understood how powerful visuals are, because what I was trying to say was, probably everyone was telling their own stories. And what really set me apart was that I was able to show them with with minimal number of amount of text, but
Hmm.
also one visual that can represent the whole of the text
Right.
in just like a one or two or three panels. And I shortly started using visual storytelling in other mediums as well.
Hmm.
So I was, asked to give workshops on business storyboarding,
Hmm.
so that visuals can be used to pitch, um, you know, startup ideas to potential investors. And I realized that how big of a world this is once I started, venturing into it. Because that's when I realized that visuals have a practical application anywhere and everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
What a wonderful story, Samira, and it's very inspiring. And for someone like me, so I've always considered myself a very text oriented person, so I could relate to what you were saying, that you consider yourself a writer first for the longest time, and I still do. I think there's a part of me that's kind of shy about even attempting to draw, and I know Tanvi has also tried to encourage me. She, even when I met her earlier this year in India, she actually gave me one of her books, the doodling books, to encourage me. But I have experienced the power of visuals as a consumer. So when I consume information, so even things like, I don't know, leadership practices or leadership theories, if you will, when it's represented visually, I understand it much faster and I also retain it much longer.
Yeah.
And that's something I've realized. And as far as planning for upcoming, planning for the future, whatever time frame it may be, I've always written stuff down. So I still remember, I still have the diary where I wrote what I wanted North Star to be, my why, what, how, and I still go back to it. And it's written down, almost like a whiteboard, if you will, but it's written down. And I still to this day have to handwrite most things. I don't enjoy it as much. I don't find it as effective if I type it up. I have to handwrite it. The other thing, as you were sharing, what came up for me is that historically, like if you go back from an evolutionary standpoint, human beings, we started with pictures, we started with visuals, and then we evolved into text. And it's kind of a little bit amusing and ironic that we are back to the world of emojis, if you will, right? So a lot of us prefer to communicate using emojis as opposed to writing stuff out. And so I feel like it's a cycle, and just like storytelling, because when we did evolve into using language, spoken and then written, for the longest time it was all our traditions were transmitted from generation to generation via stories, because it was all oral traditions, right? So storytelling has been a part of humanity for as long as we have recorded history of any sort. And even before that, it was all visuals. We started communicating with visuals, right? So the combined power of the two, visual storytelling, as you were sharing your journey, that's what came up for me. And I'm so excited that we have the opportunity to collaborate for this upcoming workshop, and also for this conversation to talk about how we, to support our respective communities in uh, being more impactful as they think about the upcoming year.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm no I so I'm checking my phone because sometimes the comments don't pop up here. So that's why I'm checking to see if we have any comments that we can bring in. Once again, welcome to everyone that's watching us live. Thank you so much for making the time on a Tuesday to join us. Let us know where you're joining us from, and what are you looking forward to hearing from us in the next 25 odd minutes that we have together. And in the meanwhile, one of the things I wanted to share with everyone, something that's worked for me, is a practice that I started a few years ago, and I've shared it with both my clients and also openly. I used to run these public, open to anyone virtual sessions every month, and the practice is called Pause with Purpose. And the idea it came to me really from the technology world, from the world of agile software and product development, where retrospectives, particularly a scrum practice or retrospective, after you know 2 or 3 weeks of, we call them sprints, after every sprint there's a retrospective where the team gets together to understand what went well, what could be done differently, what do they continue to do. So it's really about thinking about stop, and continue? What do we need to start doing? What do we need to stop doing? And what should we continue doing? And I kind of brought that into my own personal practice, and it helped me a lot, especially as I was setting up my business, to take stock of things on a periodic basis. And it really also strengthened my growth mindset, because then I slowly started looking at, okay, if this didn't go well, there is something for me to learn in that as well. So I really started reframing success and failure, if you will. And I think that everything is an opportunity. And I know a lot of us say that, and you will hear hear this being said a lot. But I think if you really bring it into practice, there's a wealth of growth that's available to you. Just this morning, I was reading something and I came across this John Maxwell quote that said, where he says, "Change is inevitable, growth is optional." So things are going to change. Our lives are going to change. The world is going to change. There is no stopping that. 2023 is coming to an end, and we're stepping into 2024, and here comes another year. So time passes, things change. There's no stopping that. But what do we do? How do we show up? What are we learning from that? What are we gleaning from that? And what are we taking with us as we step into our next day? So that really stayed with me. And to me, thinking about planning for the future, whatever time frame it may be, clarity is the first step. And I'm so glad, Sameera, you mentioned that as well, and how you find visual storytelling to be that clarifying experience. And for me, it's writing. When I write stuff down, I get a lot of clarity, and it also helps me sort of slow down my own thoughts and look at it from a different perspective. So the first step towards gaining clarity that's helped me, and I want to share with everyone here, is in the context of your planning. First step is to look back so that you understand what worked for you, what didn't work for you as well, and that whole start, stop, continue doing, thinking about that. There's another quote by American philosopher John Dewey where he says, "We don't learn from experience, we learn by reflecting on experience." So that's the key. And a lot of us, in the way the pace at which our work lives and our personal lives are, we kind of go from one to the next, without even pausing. And that's why the practice of pause with purpose, you're pausing and there's a purpose to it, because you're going to take the time to look back and see how things have been. What is it that you can learn from that? So that way you're then able to look ahead with greater understanding, more clarity, and more confidence. And in between these two, the step that's really helped me a lot is looking in or inward. So you retrospect, you introspect, and then you're better able to visualize what your future, how you would like it to look. So a couple of questions, reflection questions that have helped me a lot is, when you're looking back, thinking about, okay, what am I most proud of? What did I learn? How did I show up in those experiences that that gave me favorable outcomes? What didn't go as well? So what am I not as happy with? And what caused it? And how did I feel about it? And how did that impact others? So there's a lot to think through, right? And then the third aspect is, okay, what did I learn from this? What am I going, as a result of having gone through whatever I went through, how am I going to show up differently? What's the one thing I'm going to change? And that's the other thing, right? We tend to, when we make plans, we have all these 10,000 things that we want to accomplish. The key to being successful, and each of us defines success in our own ways. For me, when I say successful, I mean accomplishing what you set out to accomplish, achieving the outcomes that you were looking to achieve, completion of the activity or project or task or whatever it may be. When you focus on one thing or maybe two things at any given point in time, you have a greater probability of doing them well and actually accomplishing the outcomes that you're looking for. right? So this is also something, as an agile practitioner, in Scrum we call it your backlog. So you put everything that you want in your backlog, but at any point in time, in a given 2 week period, your software development team, your agile team, is only going to focus on a set number of things that they've agreed on as a team to work on, right? So we as individuals can do the same thing. So you put everything that you want to do, want to achieve, and then you sort of prioritize it. That's the other thing. When it comes to managing our time and our energy, first of all, we all focus on the wrong thing. We think managing our time is the key. It's managing your energy. And there's a whole lot of literature and research around that. But the point is, when you manage your energy, you focus on the things that drive you, that inspire you to do more, you actually are able to get more done. But for that, going back to clarity, what is most important to you? Why is it important to you? What are your values? What is driving you to do what you want to do? Having self-awareness around that, and that's where your retrospection and your introspection are going to help you. So, and then thinking about how do you want to prioritize your backlog, right? That's the other thing. We tend to uh, make a schedule and then we prioritize it. I think it's Stephen Covey who said, schedule your priorities, not the other way around. So that's the key. Figure out what you want to do, prioritize them, and then focus on schedule those priorities. And that's exactly what a Scrum team typically does. And the thing that I'm most excited about in this context is being able to bring these sort of team-based practices from the tech world into helping individuals build out their vision for the future. I know I said a lot, so I'm going to pause here, and I invite everyone that's watching us live right now, and even if you're going to catch the replay, I would invite your comments on what really stayed with you so far. What are you taking away from what I just shared? And while you do that, I invite Sameera to share her own reflections and then tell us a little bit more about one or two things uh, that doing something visually as part of our planning process can help.
Yeah, so I really wanted to stress on the point when you said that when you write things down, it gave you more clarity, right? I also wanted to add that when you write things down and you put things visually, I notice this a lot, and I'm going to follow up with an example. You are more true and honest to yourself because
Mm.
that is a space where some people find it difficult to write. Some people find it difficult to only journal. When you ask them to journal, it's hard for them to like reflect. And these things are easier for people who are who are used to writing and journaling. But for someone who has no clue how to do things, if you can just ask them to put things visually, they're it's something that they can relate to. It's a non-judgmental space. No one's like watching over them and saying that, oh, you have to draw this like a perfect circle or a perfect caricature. No, you're just asking them to put whatever. Draw a stick figure, draw a rectangle, draw a rectangle, name it. It's up to you if you want to name it a sofa, if you want to name it a cassette. I mean, I'm a 90s kid, so cassette just came to my
Cassettes, yes.
just found that it's irrelevant, but yeah, whatever it is, right? You get to choose what your visuals are, and I noticed that people are very very honest when it comes to this. And I want
Mm.
to say that there was an event that we did earlier this year, and it was diversity and inclusion. It was on the World Pride Day, and we had people from different genders coming in and talking about their stories. That's the whole event was just that, visually talking about their stories. What I noticed was that when people just came to the event, I'm so sorry, like there might be some kittens and noises around.
That's okay. No
I
worries.
three kittens. I I tried to put them away for a long time, but now they're angry. So bear
That's
with
all
me with
right.
this. They might also make a special appearance. So when people were talking about their initially when they came to the event, they were really frightened. They were like, okay, what is gonna happen here? What are we supposed to do? No one knew no one. It was like people registered from an online event, and then all that I told them is that we're gonna sit together and we're gonna draw out our stories. That's it.
Mm,
And it was a session, probably a 1 2 hour session, and people were so immersed into writing and drawing that they forgot that they need to be scared, because they had this
mm,
identity of fear when they came in. But when they were writing, they were completely at ease. And
mm.
it was actually quite difficult at the end for everyone to part. Everyone were like exchanging what they did. They were talking about their stories out loud. So it was like an icebreaker session at the end. And I understood how powerful visuals are.
Mm, mm. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I loved what you shared, that visual storytelling brings out our own, it helps us sort of feel liberated in a way. And that
Yes.
brings out what really matters to us, right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Thank you for that. And in the last about 5 to 10 minutes, I wanted to. I'd love for the both of us to share a little bit more and give folks a preview of what to expect in our upcoming workshop. So 2024, My Story Vision Setting Workshop. It's scheduled for Saturday, December 9th, and registrations are still open. We have a few slots available, about 5 slots available. And this is something I've been doing for the last 3 4 years. I think this is the fourth year I'm running this workshop, and in the last 3 years, I've had 25 plus people attend this. They are small cohorts every year, and the workshop really is a first of all, it's a very immersive experience. It requires you definitely to bring your whole self, and the focus is really on there are three main segments. So like I shared earlier, so looking back, so we spend some time doing sort of a retrospection, and that's individual, so it's all individual work. And then you have the opportunity to share, exchange ideas, and get perspectives from others in small groups, in pairs, or in small groups of up to 3 or 4 people. It's virtual, so I all my work is virtual. So Northstar Solutions and Services is a virtual business. Sometimes I forget to mention that it's all online. So it is online, so you can join us from wherever you are. And this year, we I'm really excited about the collaboration with Sameera. So after I met Sameera earlier this year, I started thinking about, and when I started thinking about the workshop, I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to collaborate. And for me, I'm so it's such an honor for me to have you, Sameera, and then bring this whole visual element, because that's not my forte. I can write all day long, and so I'm so very excited about bringing this element into this workshop. So for the first time this year, it's a half a day workshop. It's 4 hours with breaks in between and things like that. But the idea is that uh, you have this concentrated time set aside to focus on yourself. I always believe that each of us, so you are the most important and most impactful person that you'll ever lead, regardless of what role you have, what kind of work you do. It doesn't matter. And so investing in yourself is something that you must do. And several of us tend to forget that. We place others ahead of ourselves. And especially women tend to do that a lot more, at least in my experience. So setting aside this time to focus on yourself, where you're sort of taking stock of everything that's happened in the year that's been, and you take the time to look inward. So we look back, and that's your retrospection or reflection. We look inward, that's your introspection. And then the clarity and the learning that you gain from doing that, that's what we put forth into visualization. So during the workshop, I will lead you through a visualization exercise, And then Sameera is going to help us, each of us, build our own physical vision boards. And I'm going to invite Sameera to tell us more about that.
Yeah, thanks, Meenakshi. So, what we're going to learn essentially through visuals is that whatever it is you are learning about vision setting through the workshop, we are going to implement that through a visual medium, so that A, you can retain the information for longer, and B, you can look back at it in the future, and it's something in a tangible form that all of us get to draw and interact. So we not only retain, but we can actually look back at it. Like I said, I have my own visual vision board in front of me every year. It's a thing that I do. I actually have two vision boards, one in my journal and one on the wall. So I'm very serious about vision setting. It's like a ritual for me. So we are going to focus on two things: retaining the information we've already learned from the workshop, that all the reflection and introspection, and then using the tools, the visuals that I'm going to be teaching, so that it can be something that's there with you throughout the year, that you can look back at, and you can still, I mean, the journey doesn't end with the workshop. It still is there with you throughout.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for calling that out. That's the whole purpose of this workshop also, is to uh, one, what you create during the workshop, because there's a worksheet that I provide to you, and you kind of fill that out. And this year Sameera is going to help us create a vision board. So these are two sort of tangible physical artifacts that are going to remain with you throughout the year. And the other piece is, in the past years that I've done this workshop, I've noticed that the cohort, because it's a small cohort, the cohort kind of comes together and they stay in touch, and they become each other's accountability partners, cheering partners, and that's a big plus of doing this in a cohort setting. And that's one of the reasons I really enjoy doing this workshop, facilitating this workshop. And as a wraparound support, so after you're done with the workshop, you'll have the opportunity to schedule a one-on-one coaching conversation with me, and you have the entire month of January of 2024 to do that. So that's the whole program, if you will. So there is pre-work. As soon as you register, I'll send you the pre-work. That'll require about 60 to 90 minutes of your time. So it's a mix of reading. There's a couple of articles that I'll send you. There's a couple of videos, and then there's a sort of a pre-work sheet, if you will, that I include in the pre-work. And then during the workshop, we'll do the whole three segments: looking back, looking inward, looking ahead. There's a visualization exercise that I'll lead you through, and then Sameera will help us build out our vision boards. And then after the workshop, as like I said, wraparound support, you can meet with me for a one-on-one coaching conversation, a 60-minute one-on-one coaching conversation where it's your time, it's your agenda. So if you have something that came up during the workshop that you want to dig further into, explore further, you have questions that came up as you did your vision board. So it's your time for you to sort of uh, tie up all loose ends, if you will, that might have emerged during the workshop. So that's the plan. And again, if you haven't already signed up, go ahead and scan the QR code at the bottom right of the screen. I'll also plug in the link in the show notes right after we are done. And if you have any other questions, you can find me on LinkedIn or connect with me through my website. We're meeting on Saturday, December 9th from 9 to 1 Eastern Time. That's New York time. And I'm really looking forward to it. And, I'm excited for the folks that have already signed up. I just sent out the pre-work yesterday, and I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. And of course, doing this with you, Sameera. I'm really excited. And I really hope that this is a start of us doing this together every year.
Yes, me too.
Thank you. And before we wrap up, I did have one sort of housekeeping question, Sameera. Can you tell us what the attendees need to bring with them in order to build out their vision board? And I thought you also had something you wanted to show, right? Sample visuals that you had. Did you have something to show?
Yeah, well, I don't think I have it right now. But maybe we can post a picture of it
Yeah,
towards
yeah,
LinkedIn.
certainly.
As for what materials they need, well, I just want to make it as simple as possible. Just like my art, it's I always focus on simplicity and whatever office supplies that you have with you. Okay, that's all that you would need for this for the visual segment of the workshop. So that includes highlighters like these, a pen. I would ideally recommend, like, if you want to go a little fancy, I would say go for a black sketch pen,
Hmm.
or whatever that's called. I think it's
A
called
Sharpie, they're
Sharpie.
called
Exactly,
Sharpies, yes.
Sharpie. Like one black Sharpie and one pencil and erasers, basic stationery, and preferably one or two highlighters, a pink
Okay,
and a yellow, just
okay,
complement colors. Yeah,
okay. And what kind of stationery? You're
yeah.
gonna need a
So
board or something, or
um, a sheet like an A4 sheet
hmm.
should be good for making like a zine. But if you want, like, it really depends how big you want your vision board to be. So if they
Hmm.
go all in and have it different, they can even choose like we get chart papers in India. I don't exactly know if
Oh,
in
they're called poster boards here in the US.
okay. So you can get a poster board but if you feel too overwhelmed to draw that much, you can
Yeah,
still start with like a regular printer paper. That should be
right,
fine.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so important to make it accessible, especially like folks like me who are doing this for the first time, the visual part of it. I am going to bring my printer paper and Sharpies. Anything else that folks need to remember
Um,
for the
yeah,
storyboarding?
just that there is nothing to be like stressed about. There is no drawing skills required at all. So please don't think that, oh my god, visuals, I don't know, is she gonna force us to draw? No. Like, you can just come clean slate and whatever you know. And I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna be like, oh wow, I can draw, like someone who's never even drawn their life. They're like, oh what? Did I just draw? What just happened? Okay. I'm gonna give that word to you that you will come out of the workshop and say that I love doing this. I love visuals.
Yes.
More of this in my life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for that encouragement. I definitely needed it. So I'm looking forward to it. And I think the whole idea is to have fun with it, right? And it's
Yes.
it's it's yours. Whatever I create, whatever I draw, it's mine. Whatever I write, it's mine. So I'm really excited about this. So looking forward to meeting everyone on Saturday. And just a quick recap. The workshop has three segments: looking back, looking inward, and looking ahead. And there's going to be pre work. And then during the workshop, you'll work independently. You'll also work in pairs and in small groups of up to 3 or 4 people. And then Sameera is going to help us build out our vision board. So basically, the way it will flow is with what the part of the workshop that I'll facilitate, you'll actually be sort of writing it all out, and then with Sameera, you'll sort of be visually representing it. And and like Sameera said, it's just your basic home office supplies: your printer paper, a couple of highlighters, pen, pencils, and a Sharpie or two, and that's all you need to do this. So we're all about having fun, and you know, I again, this is another quote I came across, that we everything happens twice, once in our mind and then once in reality. I'm paraphrasing it. And the ones in our mind, that's what we're focused on. So that's the piece that we're focused on as we build out our set our intentions and set our vision for the upcoming year. And once we have that clarity, then we develop the compassion for ourselves and we are able to step into the world with confidence. And that's our wish for each of you that's watching us today live. Once again, thank you for your time. And folks that will watch us on replay. So if you do watch the replay before Saturday, and if this piques your interest, we'd love to have you in the workshop. And that's it. That's it from Sameera and I today. Thank you for your time. And, you know, whether or not you do the workshop, we hope that were able to, you are able to take advantage of the tips that we shared, the pause with purpose practice that I shared, and the visual storytelling tips that Sameera shared. And we hope that this is going to help you in stepping into 2024 with clarity and confidence. Thank you so much, and may 2024 be your best year yet. Take care and stay well. Thank you, Sameera,
Thank you.
and see you all soon. Take care. Bye for now.